Do you have soap in your bathroom?
I do have soap in my bathroom, but I
For
get
guests,
sent,
for guests.
I
you
get
get
sent
sent?
a lot of things. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to like hammer this dude too
You need
much
a woman's
because
touch so bad. Hello and welcome back to the U Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm really settling into suburban life. I've started taking a tennis clinic.
You take a tennis clinic?
A tennis clinic, which I just found out what that even means.
What does that mean?
It's like you go with other people and then there's an instructor and like you hit the ball. It's like kind of like a lesson, but with your friends.
So
it's not like that. You don't get like as much as a one-on-one lesson, but you get to like play more. It seems like.
Okay, so
I
it's
think
like
that's my understanding
a
of it.
group class. It's a
Kind of, but it's like with 4 people and you know them, so you take it like with people.
So you guys are like splitting the tennis lesson, so
I
to
guess,
speak.
yeah, which I prefer because like I don't really want to learn.
Right.
I just want to play.
You want to play, and you want this person to go like, hey, do this a little differently, a little there. That is similar to like with golf, where it's like you just want to know you're doing it the right way, so that you don't like redo the wrong way over and over again.
Yeah, I just want to be able to like keep up.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. You want to have like a group that could like you want to rally. You want to keep the ball in the air.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I'm past the age where I want to like. I'm never gonna be the best. Obviously, I'm 35 years old. Like, I'm not going to be the best tennis player in town. I'm like, I just want to.
Town.
Yeah,
you are suburban
in town.
now.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get to.
I'm
medium.
just trying to like not embarrass myself.
Yeah.
And like have some fun.
I mean, when people ask about golf, that's a similar vibe for most people. I think most people just want to like be able to have it be an hour of continuous play.
Part of their almost like social, like be part of their social life or be part of their.
Well, you don't want to be so bad that you're holding back the group and you're just stuck in your self-conscious self the whole time.
And no one wants to. Right. It's more about your own ego, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You want to be able to like keep up.
Because everyone sucks. Everyone's horrible. Everyone's mediocre.
And it's all relative.
Right. But like I see it with my dad and like the golf stuff. Like, you know, who you gonna when he talks with friends about who they're gonna play with, like can't play with him, he sucks. You know, like that gets brought up.
You don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy.
Right.
So you don't want to be.
You don't have to be the best, but you can't be like the worst.
You want to be able to like win some, lose some.
Right.
You know, like you want to take a game off your friend and then them take a game off you and have it be competitive and get a sweat.
Yeah.
It all makes. Is there a tennis club?
I don't.
Are you doing it at a? Where do you do
this?
It's
at a tennis place. Like it's an indoor tennis facility.
When do you go? Is it like a weekend thing? Is it a weekday thing?
I go like 8 a.m. on Fridays.
8 a.m. on Fridays?
Yeah.
We are living 2 very different
It was
lifestyles.
a little early for me.
A little?
A little early, yeah.
I guess you're trying to get it in before work for people?
I guess other people, yeah. I mean, like.
Those people that have to work.
I've worked like 9 to 5. Like,
right.
I could,
Is it busy?
At that time, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just you and your friends.
It's just me and like my my friend Liza, and then a couple of like new friends.
Our suburbs people.
Right. Like, I'm like, are we friends or are we friendly? I think we're still in like we're friendly stage.
Have you started to hear like the rumblings of like
what do you
suburban?
Think? I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying. That the instructor keeps talking too much.
Yeah.
I'm like,
shut the fuck up, Frederick.
I want to
hear the gossip. Trying to find out if their marriage is good or not.
I want to find out who's cheating on who.
Right. Has that stuff started to happen in the suburbs
not
life?
Really. I haven't like I haven't infiltrated myself that deeply into. I think that happens maybe when you have kids that you're like more like embedded in the culture. Like my friend Liza lives in the town, so she kind of like brings me into some stuff, but I don't really care that much because like I don't know, I feel like there's not as much of a culture around it when we're just like living there, not with children.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It's like it's
like people are great that I've met, but I'm not like, oh, I've got to like find my new crew because I also know people who live around there too.
Right. I think the kids kind of leads that whole thing where it's like the kids are the same age, so you meet the parents and you're kind of like forced into hangs with those people.
Right. Well, it seems to be how like our parents, like they make friends with people who had kids around the same age,
especially when
right?
you have kids young. Like if you start having kids around the same, like you're all 27.
Right. You have the same freedom levels.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know. My fear of getting to that place in life and then you're in the suburb where like like, I don't know, like you hope you and your partner are like so solid.
Right.
That you're not the one everyone else is talking about. Like,
that you're not like the couple on the rocks in town.
Right. I don't know. It's like, it's also like, they say, a lot of my friends that move back to the suburbs, they're like, it's high school.
It seems very cliquey. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm not at the stage where I care yet. Where I care about like fitting into like the thing.
Right. No,
I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, I feel like I almost should care more. Like, I want to have a crew, but I'm like, I have my friend. I have other friends. I
would much rather be, and I think we've talked about this before. Like, I want to be the house that people are like, that's the guy who like no one knows me, but they know of me.
Oh, because you're like kind of famous.
Well, but you like I even for you, like, oh yeah, she started Betches. We never really like I don't
Someone
want
knows
to be
one
too
fact
deep with
around
anyone.
you, right? Where they know one fact that they ascribe to your whole personality,
and then they've met me in passing, and they're like, he seems cool.
You're not looking for an intimate friendship.
I don't want any friendships. I want to be a lone wolf.
You don't want a guy who comes. I mean, we talked about this on our next our Valentine's Day episode. We were talking about your parents. There's a guy who comes over to like cook for them, who doesn't work for them.
No, he comes over.
Yeah.
To spend time. He's like my dad's like buddy.
Yeah.
He's always around.
You could be somebody's buddy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be the buddy. I want to be the...
Yeah, like, what's the idea? Is that you think that's the ideal position to be in a suburban town?
The ideal position...
You have no real friends?
No real friends.
But people admire you?
And people like you, and they'd like to be better friends with you.
Okay.
But that
always
would be
leave them wanting more.
Right. I want that. My ideal position is to, like, no friends. I do my own thing. People are like, oh, he seems like a good guy. He does seem like a fun guy to party with. But I don't party with anybody.
Right.
That would be my ideal.
That is.
I do have that. That does sound comfortable to me.
It's also a little bit weird, I think, to get into this stage of life where people, a lot of my friends have kids, and they're in, like, I have a friend who moved to Westchester, and it's like, will I ever see you again?
It's like another planet.
Well, it's just like, why? Like, you'd have to like drive over. Like, it's like we used to hang out every weekend and just get drunk and like do all that. And now it's like,
now she's got a whole new group of people to get drunk with in that area.
It's weird though, right? Because you're like, oh, like, what happens to these other relationships?
Your worlds get smaller as you get older, and people tell you about that, and then you go, yeah, sure. But even like me, I live in the West Village. Going anywhere else but the West Village to like go out at night is like crazy to me. Like, like the idea that I would go to like the Upper East Side is like not far away, but it is.
You would never go there.
Years and miles away.
There's nothing to do there.
Right.
I mean, when I lived there, there's not even the restaurants suck. Upper East Side is like nothing there.
I listen and
playgrounds,
right? To those who enjoy it, they enjoy it. But I'm like, I don't really leave my whole like 10-block radius, so. I do understand where you moved to Westchester. You're like, why would I leave West? We have a bar here. We have a restaurant here. We have a nice people here. I got my
it takes so much effort to leave. Right.
I got this whole house that I bought that I made into my like castle.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it's weird. Like, what do you do with the relationships from before that time?
You make a plan, I guess.
Right.
I guess you say we're going to do dinner at some point together, but then you have to, this is why friendships grow apart. Like, you have to like, both people have to like both people.
Right. Enough to like really try, because it's so much easier to just like, I'll see you at like, at the second wedding of someone we know, I guess.
Right. If you like the wife from way back when, but like the husband's kind of like a dud.
Right. Then I have to motivate the whole family to get there. Like,
right.
How do we,
like, I'm sure like Mike is like, I don't want to be with the dud.
Or I'm like, I'm not going into the city to hang out with these people.
Right. I don't have fun doing that.
Right.
Like I'd rather be alone. Lone wolf in the town.
Yeah.
That life sounds so relatable to me, and I'm so far away from it. Like the suburbs stuff. I'm like, I do have this like yearn for it. I do like see it.
Because it feels like home?
It feels like home, and it's like, just feels like, sometimes it feels so much more simple.
I think it's kind of like a trade-off, right?
Right.
It's funny because everyone's like, this is better, like the city sucks or the city's great. It's like, everything is a trade-off. There's nothing that's like, you like just are objectively better.
The only one right.
Right.
Sorry,
so you get in the suburbs, like you said, you get that it is really comfy. It's like everything's just like set. We're not like looking for relationships. We're not looking for whatever. Like, it's like very... But then the opposite end of that is like there's no novelty.
Right.
There's no new restaurant every week like there is in the city.
Right.
There's no 700 people you could meet if you're, if you're single.
Right.
Anyway.
This is why people get hobbies. Like I have no hobbies.
You drink martinis. You play
It's
golf.
called an alcoholic.
You play golf.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't know. Like if I'm put to like, if I'm pressed to it.
I think golf is a hobby.
It's a hobby, but like I'm not like.
You're not consistent with it.
Right,
You're not
I'm
like,
not-
I'm playing every week.
I don't have like a standing appointment.
Well, hobby's like a commitment. That's kind of the beauty of your life, though, is that you have no commitments.
None.
Like even thinking about getting this dog, and I'm getting a little anxious about the thought of it.
Are you going to get it?
I think I'm going to get it, but I would be lying if there wasn't like a little voice in the back of my head that's like, don't ruin this. Like you have nothing to do. Like you have no one.
There's no
one,
dog to get back
There's
to.
no one depending on you. I mean, there's
Right.
Mike, but not like he's an independent man. He can survive very well without me. Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to give up this, like the freedom to not literally have absolutely no one to worry about besides myself for like a dog and not even a human.
Now you're starting to understand what it's like
giving
to
me
be
a
a
little bit of
man who doesn't
anxiety.
want to commit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel at the.
I mean, you don't have to make sure they physically survive.
Well, at the precipice of every like relationship getting more serious, I'm like, am I ready to live a life that I have no idea what could happen next?
It's interesting because I never thought that way about relationship.
Right. I do.
Because you're responsible for someone else's feelings.
Yes.
But it's like, why would they not be happy with just you as you are?
That's a question I ask myself every time
Right.
I'm in a relationship.
But like if you had a dog, they wouldn't be happy with Jared as you are because your normal self isn't putting out dog food and taking a
Right.
dog out for a walk.
Right. You don't. And
But the idea with like a relationship, like
I just
it
think,
would work.
I guess
You wouldn't have to change
to
that
me,
much?
I've said this on this show all the time. Like I think dating is fun for men and a job for women, and relationships are fun for women and a job for a man. Mm-hmm. I do believe that. Like you're signing up for the work,
Right.
like of the responsibility of someone else's feelings, making them happy on a daily basis. And maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe that's too much to put on myself, but that's kind of how I think about it. Like I listened to this podcast. This guy was talking about his dad, and he was talking about becoming a dad, and he's like, the whole becoming a dad is sacrifice. He describes it as that's the job, sacrifice. And even when I told my dad, I was like, I think like I was in a relationship, and I was like, I think I'm gonna end it. And he was like, well, this is your last chance to like be selfish.
Yeah.
And that's how my dad talked to me. So it's like this idea of like, again, this story keeps coming up because the Matt James story, where he ends it really in a bad way, seemingly, based on all the stuff that's been talked about.
Right.
But if you break it down to its core of Matt James in a 4-year relationship with a woman who's ready for the next thing, and he's this food influencer, which is like a job I don't think he dreamt about growing up. It's trying to like getting him
Seems
by.
pretty lucrative, easy thing to do. I mean, I don't know what it's. Maybe it's harder. Don't come for me.
Lucrative and easy, but also easy come, easy go.
Okay.
So I think if I'm him, like I actually thought about this. Like if I'm him, let's say it's lucrative and easy now, he probably doesn't even trust that it's going to stick around for as long. Like there's no TV network that's ringing his doorbell.
Right.
There's no TV network that exists. They're not making those shows anymore. So he has to wonder, like, what is this future? And then they have this woman who's like, 4 years. Let's go.
Yeah.
Suburbs,
The
kids,
clock, right.
engagement.
The timer is
Let's
set
go.
off.
What am I
right, yeah.
doing here? And he's like, and he doesn't want to make a move. So then he forces her to break up with herself because what's he going to say? I like you, but I have no, there's no future here that I see.
Isn't that exactly what he said?
Right. But I think he meant it. I think if I'm like to like take empathy for him, I think it's like there's no future of what I am. Like.
So it's not about her.
I think she's in the mix of those things, but like, I was just thinking of someone like building a career on something that you never really expected to be a career. How trusting could you be that that's an actual career? Like, I think a lot of these TikTokers, like, that's a big thing for them. The money just appeared out of the sky,
Right.
and became
It's
a job.
lot.
And
Yeah.
now it's like, because I just don't buy that he's this big foodie that dreamt was in culinary school. He was a fitness guy.
Right.
It would actually make less sense for him to end it if he was a trainer who had this like big network of training people and class schedules, and there was a business there.
But I guess my question is like, does he anticipate and is he happier unattached?
I don't know if happier is even the question. It is less stress. You know, like
because of the stress of the decision.
Right. I mean, I've broken up with women where I'm like, this is either exactly what I should do or the biggest mistake of my life.
Well, that's like kind of what the Logan, Logan was saying. Like she gets men, and there's many men who say we're either going to break up or we're going to get married.
And when I end it, I have this like all the weight is lifted off of me.
So you're happier then?
But I'm not happier. I'm just, the weight is gone.
Right. You're just less stressed.
Right. And I'm being as personal and vulnerable as I can be, because I have had that. And I've thought about it a lot of like, I was so that next day, but it wasn't happier. It was just relieved of
that a decision has been made.
And there's nothing to do. There's no dog to feed.
But there's no panic about what if I did the wrong thing?
It doesn't come till later. Because then you start thinking back, like, what was it that made me make that really big decision? Because it is a big decision.
Yeah.
Because like I have a lot of times where it's like, do I text that person again? And I'm like, no, you made a decision then for whatever reason it was.
And here's the other thing is like you made the decision and you don't know. And you probably would make that decision again.
Right.
Probably.
Or.
And everything you hear on this podcast, you can't go back unless
you're totally sure.
Yeah. Boyfriend or fuck off.
Boyfriend or fuck off. And then at that point, you're the guy bothering this woman.
Well, no, you're not bothering is at its best, right? Bothering is the best, is like, that's the best case scenario, that she's over you and you're like, oh, this fucking guy, like, fuck that guy. That's the best case scenario.
Right.
The worst case scenario is you're like instilling hope of you coming back as a different version of yourself who's ready to commit, super in, knows 100%.
That's where the bothering from my end would come in. Like
I wouldn't call that bothering. I would call it like
I'm pestering.
Right. No, I would call that like dangling more than pestering.
Right, but I don't think the guy who comes back is starting at I'm dangling.
Right.
I don't think that's his, like, that would be a really evil way to come back. I think it's like, I think you get to a point where you go, oh, fuck. I didn't want, like, we did this episode where.
Well, we did the Julia episode, yeah.
Julia.
It always comes back to it. That's why that episode was so relatable.
Right.
Yeah.
The Julia episode, if you go back and listen, it's there. But it was that a guy, ended it, then came back.
Yeah.
And then he ended it again. And it's like,
and that's the word. I mean, as the women, we're like, that's when we're sharpening our pitchforks.
Right.
Like, he dared to come back the same way as he left.
Right. And I don't think he came back to leave again.
So,
like, right. I just don't think that was his goal. Right. It ends up being like, fuck.
Yeah.
The house is still on fire.
What did I do here?
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people generally want to be that person. Mm-hmm. Like, I think most of us want to be considered like, don't want to bother anyone.
Right.
I don't want to make anyone upset.
But we're taught from all the rom-coms, like, he'll come back, he'll profess his love, and like, sometimes, this was the hurdle we needed to get through.
Right.
It's a changed man.
But you literally
it's ready to commit.
And then you have to come back and become a different person.
Yeah.
Like, that's a crazy expectation. Like, if I.
So what's your what is the male expectation
when they come back?
Yeah. We had
we
had a fun time.
I know. I don't think they think it that far through.
Well, that's the issue.
I think they're like, oh, well, let's like see what happens this time.
Right. And that's the hardest part of dating, I think, is that one person could have a lens of this is really significant and very hurtful and very tied to my self-esteem. And the other person could have a thing of like, this was fun and it sucked that it was like a shame that it didn't work out. But like, yeah, we could try it again. We had fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that also has to do with like, from this podcast, I think we have like a lot of like, when we hear from women, it's like, let's just get in the relationship and see what this is.
Yeah. You could just break up with me if you don't like me in 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think from the guy perspective and from my perspective, it's like, if everyone's just ready to get in a relationship, then I'm fully the only one thinking of this reasonably.
Why?
Because I'm the only one.
But it's a relationship. It's not a marriage.
But I know, but I'm just saying, like, if I'm the only one, like, being careful, like, because I'm, like, thinking of, like, whether we could work out or if it's going to work out, if everyone's just ready to like shack up, then why would I do that? I
because you can always leave.
And then the guy won't commit. Asshole.
I actually think the guy who breaks up with you because he doesn't want to go to the next stage after he's in a relationship with you is like, to me, I'm like, that's the best kind of guy who breaks up with you.
I'm going to give you some numbers.
He's a guy who got to know you.
Need to call for
He's
me
a guy who got to know you.
Let them know.
I mean, those people maybe are angry in the moment, but that's their own. But if I look at those situations and I'm like, that person did nothing wrong. But it does feel like a shame when it's like, I like you, but I just don't know if I want to marry you, so I can't even be in a relationship with you. Is like, why don't you just like really get to know me? Like, why don't you just commit to getting to know me really well? And if you decide when you really know me on that level that you don't want to marry me, like, fine. But at least get to know me.
I know but that's also like so harsh. Hey, I think we got to break up now that I know your personality. It's time for me to go.
It shouldn't be that big of a surprise if you have a real relationship.
Right. It goes both ways.
It shouldn't get that
They're
far.
Getting to know you too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. They might not want to marry you.
I had a feeling this talk about the suburbs would end up here.
Sorry.
Listen, we are 100 subscribers away from 16,000 on YouTube.
Guys, we could do better than this. Come on. This is a big show.
I can't even believe.
We're not going to beg you for
we're
16,000 followers.
16 doesn't really move the needle for me.
You're depressing us, guys. We don't.
I'm
not even going to mention the number. Just go subscribe. If you like the show, we know there's many, many more people than 16,000 people who live and listen to the show. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. It's great support to the show.
It means nothing to you. The world does. So when you like and share, I understand that's a big ask. Liking is
public.
like
That's a public display.
Right.
Yeah.
Liking and hitting the favorite button, and that helps us get on an algorithm. The hope and the reason we go into this, it gets us on an algorithm where we find people just like you. So their viewing habits are like your viewing habits, and now we get put in front of more wonderful audience like yourselves. So that's our whole reason for the liking and commenting. So that's what I thought the algorithm was. I don't know.
Yeah. Help us serve Father Algorithm.
It does every day. It does feel more like
right.
God.
Yeah, like some weird dystopian empire.
It is
like
pretty true.
But the algorithm might take it away from us, so we have to like bow down and do what the algorithm is asking for. It's shorter form videos.
Good tidings from Father Algorithm.
It's gonna be human sacrifices soon.
Also, go subscribe to Oversharing. They're doing subscription. Yeah, Bachelor's on YouTube as well. And we're talking about The Bachelor.
And you're headed out, right?
What's
next
today?
week. It's the 12th.
So I'm leaving soon for my 40th birthday tour.
How are the shows
Australia.
doing there?
I don't know. I've kind of kept a blind eye.
Okay.
But if you're in Australia, Sydney, Brisbane, Newcastle, Perth, Auckland, New Zealand, I'm going to be all over the place. So jaredfree.com for tickets. Also, if I'm looking at this the 12th, I added a weekend. This weekend, I'm going to be in Alpharetta, Georgia. Yes. I'm doing some shows. They had a dropout, and I was like, I got no one. I got nothing, so I'll go to Alpharetta. I got no reason not to go.
There's a little sneak peek into our Valentine's Day episode.
That is a sneak peek. The Valentine's Day episode we just taped. But also, if you're like looking to do something fun Valentine's Day weekend, I'm coming to Alpharetta. It's going to be a loose show. I'm going to come back to Atlanta in the fall for a theater.
Oh.
So like
that'll be
the
great.
play is work on an act that I can put on in a theater. Mm-hmm. I have this new story that's very funny. Is doing very well.
I'm excited to hear it.
I also told the story on stage that I told you on Benefits about my mom.
That was a great story.
So
I mean, you could get a sneak peek of it too if you subscribe.
Subscribe to the Benefits, but I did that on stage last night, and it's
doing well.
It did well.
It was a great story.
I'm like, I can't believe I'm gonna have to tell this story again and again and again. It's so embarrassing.
Your mom is probably that person at the country club that you describe wanting to be in the suburbs.
Right.
She's the one whose son told that weird joke about her. I'm not gonna have spoilers.
It's weird to tell, but it's what happened. It's just I just think as millennials, I think being a millennial, this is my theory, that being a millennial is we died in another world and this is hell.
So you're an
our
optimist.
parents seem to get everything that they ever worked for. Then we get told, go to college. We racked up all this debt. We went to college that didn't even matter for our lives.
Right.
Then we like work our asses off, get paid very little for a lot of hard work. And then like Gen Z comes up your ass and they're like the most shameless generation.
Right.
Like they make money off of a YouTube channel. They're like billionaires. They're all eating
And
well.
they're so angry at us, which is just so funny. I feel like there's like a little angst against the millennials. But it's like no one in our generation even talked about Gen X. Literally, like none of us even knew they existed. It was like boomers and then nothing.
Well, we were the first generation on the internet and commenting on the internet.
Right.
So like it does feel like they moved into our room. Because now I see like these Gen Z people doing jokes. I was like, I did that a decade ago. Did that one.
Right.
We've
been on the same medium as them.
Right.
Yeah.
We're the first two generations to share the medium.
Gen X is closer to the boomers, I think.
Absolutely.
They don't know what the fuck is going on.
But Gen X brought up these fucking assholes.
That's true.
Yeah, they should be blamed more for
Yeah.
these shameless assholes. And they all started TikTok pages like, yeah, of course I'm a food influencer. We would have been embarrassed to our core. Like, remember how much of an insult it was to call someone a blogger?
Oh, yeah.
That
was like that conjured visions of like you in your mother's basement. Like,
such a fucking
computer.
loser.
Yeah.
And now all these Gen Z people are just like doing those things with no shame and like good for them. But that's why they're like doing it like as a business right away.
Yeah.
We were so embarrassed.
That used to be the job of the untouchables.
Right.
Yeah.
The unfuckable.
Yes.
Yeah. The undateable.
Yes.
Yeah. Woman with a dating blog.
I know.
That was like a thing.
Yikes. Yeah.
Oh. So that's my rant.
Well, should we get into
more of that in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Yeah. More fun, optimistic, upbeat times. That's what everyone needs in the dead of winter, right?
I just said being us is hell. Yes. Okay. What are we talking about?
26-year-old female here, and I would love to know your opinion on my unique breakup I'm going through. Back in December, after dating for 3 years, my long-term boyfriend and I decided that we ultimately weren't on the same page about wanting kids.
Okay.
For context, I grew up in a family of 6 and always dreamed of having a house full of kids. He, on the other hand, comes from a broken family. Okay.
Sorry to laugh. I just the idea.
I wonder if he would describe it that way.
Right. We'd run down the stairs and get our presents on Christmas and all hug and kiss, and we all sit laid in the same bed. He comes from hell. He's from a broken family.
He's one of those.
It's like the turn and how their lives were.
And he would rather focus on personal career goals. I don't know if that's due to his broken family or not.
Well,
rather than dedicate time and money to a family.
Okay. Such a harsh. That is okay. First of all, that's called man who doesn't want to get in a relationship.
Right. To me,
I want to put my time and money into my career over a family and a relationship.
Yeah.
Like that is like, again, that's like a cold way of looking at it.
But it also sounds you could spin it so it sounds legitimate.
I
just
legitimate.
need to focus on my career.
Well, right, but like even though she's bought it, like she's repeating this back. Like I want to focus my time and money.
And I've got this broken family.
Right,
you know, I can't get.
It's
I
all
can't
just
commit. I have this broken family. I've got to get it repaired.
At 26.
Yeah.
Sorry, kid.
In other words,
gotta put my time and money into this career of mine.
So he says, in other words,
a DJ.
In other words, he does not want kids. Do you think he doesn't want kids?
I don't know. I don't think he knows anything.
The obvious, though hard outcome was to end the relationship. We decided we would still like to be friends and support each other's careers and other aspects of our lives. Fast forward to a month and a half later, this breakup hasn't gotten any easier. I still cry almost every day and question why this shitty situation is happening to me. Though maybe frowned upon, we have gotten together 3 times, and one of those I spent the night. I know these nights need to end so I can truly move on and find someone who will have the same life goals as me, but I really don't know how. So here's my question to you experts.
We are not experts.
Not experts. How the hell do you get through and process an amicable breakup when you both still care and love each other so much? Do you go no contact? Do you slowly fade out? Did we make the right decision? Sincerely, still in love with my ex, Betch.
Okay. Can I help this person?
Yes. Please.
She writes some very specific things in her email that like tell the
answer's always in the email.
The answer's always in the email.
For years.
I still cry almost every day and question why this shitty situation is happening to me. Like, I just think that perspective is not going to get you anywhere. Mm-hmm. This isn't
not
happening
empowering
to you. This is a breakup with your boyfriend at 26. You broke up, and the more you call it amicable, the more you blame that he doesn't want to have kids, the more you say you've made this all other than we're not the match. That's why she's crying every night.
Right.
She's still holding out hope. She's saying that they are such a perfect match, but it's all these things that happened to us. No. That's not what it is.
Right.
You're not the match. You were good for each other. I think you can like appreciate a relationship while also moving on from
it. Well, it's hard to do both because it's like if there's this feeling that if I appreciate the relationship, then I should still be in the relationship, which is kind of where she's at.
Right.
This feeling of like, I don't want to not be in the relationship.
Right.
Because I appreciate it so much. And there's just this one thing. So it's hard to like separate that. Hard to say, acknowledge the good things without feeling like you should still be in it. So that's why people villainize a lot of their exes.
Which is like self-care in its own way.
Right. It's like, I wouldn't be able to not speak to you if I didn't think you were a piece of shit, and I need to convince myself that you are.
Right. I mean, this is like, that's why the whole friends thing and you've spent the night, this happens. I think she's being hard on herself. She's frowned upon. No, that's what happens when you keep contact. Like, when you break up with someone, there's a void. One less person to text, hug, like.
It's lonely, yeah.
It's lonely. So what do you fill the void with? Either someone new or the person you just left. Like that happens all the time too. So what you're doing makes sense. It's I think it's the way you're speaking to yourself. Like when you
it makes sense, but it's not good for you.
No. Going back to isn't good for you, but I'm saying like you're going back because of the way you're speaking to yourself.
Right.
She's all about these like would you, could you, coulda, woulda, shouldas.
Right. Excuses.
If he if he wasn't from a broken family, then we'd be together. Right. No.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't even see how that even plays into anything.
Right. And you're buying his bullshit, and he's
getting away with murder.
Well, he's doing it because he wants to be nice.
He's letting her. They're sleeping over because he wants to be nice.
That's the
murderous. He's such a nice guy.
That's ridiculous. There's a line though. Like if you give these lines to a person, if you break up and you're like, "It's a career. I want to put my time and my money into my career and not into this." That's for that reason I'm out. If you do that, if that's your Shark Tank pitch,
right.
You then have to back away. You know, you can't then go, it was amicable and come spend the night. Like now you're being a dick.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's why she's buying those words
right, the
from
bullshit
him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She needs to get a little angrier at him. Not that she has to villainize him, but I think she has to say, like, this person, whatever the reason was, couldn't give me what I wanted. Mm-hmm. I don't know, the kids thing, I guess, like, it sounds like he used the kids thing to make it into a mutual breakup.
Right. Yes.
Which allows him in his head to get away with more post-breakup.
Right. You're going to see him with 10 kids getting ice cream like a decade from now.
Not to, like that's like her worst fear.
When you end something, you just want to get out.
Right.
While being as little a dick as possible.
So yeah,
so that's what he did. He was like, no kids and the time and and it's very 26. That's the other thing that I'll say to her. Like a 26-year-old guy who runs into marriage to me is delusional. Mm-hmm. Like I can't. Assuming I see more eye to eye with this guy at 26 than I do. You know the. But
he is. If that's the case, then he's lying.
Who?
The guy.
This guy, yeah, he's lying to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's lying to her to get out. The house is on fire. This is every breakup I've ever done.
Right.
They want a reason. They always want a reason.
Of course.
What am I going to say? And I'm like, the reason is I'm afraid. And then, I'll make you feel better. Like they're going to answer that with like.
Well, you should give the real reason so they can hate you and move on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm afraid
it's kinder to be meaner almost.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm afraid that if I get with you right now and we move to the next level, that I'm going to be a poor loser who didn't work hard enough on his career, and I could have been with someone just as good as you in the future when I was ready.
Okay.
That's a hard thing to say to someone. So I'm giving him empathy. That's why he didn't say it.
You could say someone else in the future.
Yeah.
Just as good as you. Right.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that's the bet you make.
Right.
At 26, the bet he's making is that I will work on my career, and this person's great that I'm with, but when I'm ready and I don't have that little pit in my stomach and I see the road that keeps me as this like successful person, I can then find someone who will be the love of my life too.
Well, our hope is that you never find that person. Your prospects only go down.
Right.
And you always think back as the one who...
But this is like, what do women find attractive? Passion, success.
Yeah, but it's like we would be with you poor. Doesn't that count for anything? We would be with you
Would you?
With your broken family and your starting salary.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Is there nothing about, is there no like nice way to think about that? Like here's
then
someone
I wouldn't respect myself.
Got into my rising stock early.
Listen,
as an investor believed in me.
Honestly, it's probably better for your work to like shack up early.
That's what I think.
Takes like, you know how many things I have on my mind that have nothing to do with
you wouldn't have to be like out on a date 3 nights.
Believe me, yeah. I would listen. I would have too much time in the day if I was in a relationship.
Is it just this fear of like I threw in the cards too early?
No,
I could have met someone better.
It's not meeting someone better. It's
better for me.
It's not even that. It's just like, did I reach my potential?
But why can't you do that with someone?
You can.
Like you can only marry someone at the top of your game?
No. I think you have to see the road. I think you have to see
to feel secure.
The security. Like I would love to see like a statistic of like, like what fields men work in and how early they get married.
Yeah,
like
that's an interesting
study.
Do
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, does a lawyer get married earlier
because they know exactly what the trajectory
is? They know the track. Does a finance again, like I think creatives get married later in life for that reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's worth a thought. I just
right on our end, it feels like you're holding out to get someone better once you become more successful.
Right. There was a Seinfeld episode where she dates a guy in med school, and then he gets through med school, and he goes, "I have to break up with you, Elaine."
Now I'm a doctor.
He goes, "It's the dream of any doctor to dump whoever they're with." Once you become.
Well, that's what we hear when you say like,
right.
"I need to focus on my career." It's like, oh, so that you can get to a powerful, rich enough position to be able to date someone better looking or
I've said it
than me.
Well, I just think I'd rather be an old dad than a poor dad. Mm-hmm. That's my like honest opinion. Right.
Well, I guess there's no fear of being too late like there is for women.
Right.
And there's not this feeling of like the older you get, the less other available people there are.
Right. And if you really want to get sad about it, the only person I can disappoint is myself if I'm alone. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, it's like, why do anything then?
Listen.
We just talked about it all comes back to the dog, right? Like, why do anything?
Why get a dog? Yeah. I don't know, because the dog loves you. You trained the dog. You made the dog. Again, there's
why get in a relationship? Yeah.
Right.
We should all do nothing. Just quickly to add to wrap up the last email. Go no contact. You've got to do it. Block. Need to move on.
Yeah, no.
That's the only way on the other.
Stop talking about it as an amicable breakup. No such thing.
Yes. It's time to get mad.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the advice. And he's going to let this happen because he doesn't care that much.
That's the annoying part.
That's the part. That should make you mad.
That's what I'm saying. Use that to fuel you.
Right.
He doesn't really care about you because if he did, he wouldn't be seeing you after this. Let's do another email. Let's do an awkward encounter.
J&J.
This is called the Midwinter Depressing episode.
Is it depressing?
I don't know.
Send in your emails, uup@betches.com. Awkward encounter. J&J, big fan, OG listener here with a super awkward sex story. I was recently at a guy's house and we were about to bang. I was on the tail end of my period and still had my menstrual cup in. The dude and I had already discussed the period part, so no biggie there. I go to the bathroom, take out my cup, rinse it, and wrap it in some toilet paper. I set it on the bathroom counter and headed to his bedroom. We had sex, and luckily that's not the awkward part of the story. After we finished up, I headed back to the bathroom to put my cup back in when I realized the toilet paper wrapped cup was gone. I looked around and can't find it anywhere. I yelled at the guy, "Hey, have you seen a wad of toilet paper? It's got my cup in it."
He's going to hand her a Solo cup.
Yeah, I got plenty of glassware in the kitchen. Confused, he responds, no. Before I can think of what to do next, he says, I think I found it. I leave the bathroom and head towards his voice. On the couch, his dog had chewed my menstrual cup into 700 pieces. I'm mortified at this point and start picking up the pieces of my shredded cup. I just see her on her hands and knees.
Trying to piece glue back together the cup.
I hit him with on that note, I'll be seeing myself out, and ran to my car. The worst part of all of this is that I had the cup for more than 7 years. Longest relationship of my life. Thanks for bringing all the laughs and advice to the dating world. Y'all are doing the Lord's work. Love. 2 betches, 1 cup.
I think there was a sign from above that you don't need one menstrual cup for 7 years. So it's okay to switch it out, I think. I don't use a menstrual cup, but anything that I'm putting in my vagina once a month that's bleeding all over it, I think could be replaced more often than every 7 years.
Really? At 7 years? I didn't know.
Would you do anything for 7 years?
That is, do the cups last that long?
I've never used a cup.
So I went and Googled menstrual cup because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It looks like it would be the nose a French clown would wear.
It's like a little ball?
It's got like a little fun
it's
bulb
like
on the front. Look at this picture.
I imagined it like rubbery. 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah. Every month for 7 years.
Again, this doesn't look better than an iPhone cover. If you had an iPhone cover for 7 years, you'd be like, get a new one.
Let's replace that thing. Yeah.
That thing's falling apart.
2 to 10 years, says WebMD?
So WebMD, we just looked this up, says that you can use a cup from 2 to 10 years. That's too large of a range.
Yeah.
2 to 10 years to me sounds like 3 years.
Yeah. I think for the environment, we could throw in another one every 2 years.
Does this look like something you'd carry around for 7 years?
I feel like how do you wash it? What's the maintenance on that? You're putting it inside your vagina. No. Have you ever seen one of those?
No, I had to Google it. And this is my point to the email is like how little men know. Like the idea like a wadded up piece of paper. I know the dog took it. It seems like it fell on the floor.
It's like a dog. It does look like a chew toy.
It does look like a chew toy.
The dog, I can't blame the dog.
Like,
I wonder what she did. Was she just bleeding and out in the whole apartment?
But even when I looked at it, I guess so. Even when I looked at it, I was like, I don't even know which way this goes in.
Oh, I do. The pointy side would go in first. That seems like then the top is like catching the blood. No,
so it goes up. So it's like one of those cups that catch the ball.
Yeah, but the cup is catching the blood.
But how do you get that in the vagina?
You stick it in. How do you get anything in the vagina?
I know. The vagina is a pliable place. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you ever see the Curb episode?
Yeah.
Big vagina.
Huge vagina. Huge. But I'm saying like. So you're just walking around with bozo's nose up your fucking pussy?
The vagina will hold on to stuff that you put in there unless you take it out.
That's the wild part.
Yeah.
This is a good way
to
also...
It's like a magic hat.
Well, it does look like something you would transfer like drugs in.
That people do.
That's what I'm saying. Like you'd put the drugs in the cup. And
people do that in like balloons. Like they'll put not people. I mean, I don't know the people, but hypothetically, I think you could put drugs in a balloon and then put it up. And people wouldn't search there.
The vagina is the female
mysterious
body is truly wild. It's like the bottom of the sea. Like we don't know anything.
It's tough.
I don't
know. No, it's true. And like even as a woman, I don't like. There's so much unknown. There's so much more that we have to deal with than you do. Like like our hormones change throughout the month, every single month. They're just different every 3 days than they were the day before.
Wouldn't that be nice if like you were dating someone, you're living together, and then like they knew it was your period, and then like in the morning you just saw like a little cookie get pushed under the door?
That happens in that movie with Ashton Kutcher and what's her name, Natalie Portman.
Really?
No, is it No Strings Attached?
I remember that movie. I don't think I saw it, but I remember the movie.
Yeah, he makes her like a period playlist. He gets her like
period
stuff. Yeah.
Let's do another
email. All right. Hi, J&J. I've been listening to your podcast for years, and similar to a marriage, it has helped me through the good and the bad. So for that, I want to say thank you both. I'm not sure I fully get the analogy, but I appreciate it. I'm reaching out because I have had a bit of a professional shift, as I'm sure many of us have had in the last few years, and I was wanting your perspective. I currently work for the federal government, and I've gone from working...
The Fed!
She's a Fed. There you go. And I've gone from working a totally remote position to having to go into the office 5 times a week. My question is, how do I prioritize dating when I'm in the office all day? When I worked from home, I felt like I could take the time after work to go on dates and meet people because I didn't have a commute and was able to handle small daily chores during my lunch break. I was always set up for my next day of work. Now, I have a 30-minute commute each way, and the second I get home, I feel the need to get ready to go into the office the next day. This year, I really wanted to make dating a priority, but I'm having a hard time juggling my work and love life. I was wondering if you had any suggestions to get over the workday slump and just get recharged to meet up for a date. Thanks again for everything. Sincerely, a workin' batch.
You know what's so funny? When I read this email, I was like, wow, we have done this podcast a long time, because we went from getting emails about like, how do I deal with dating the pandemic? Now I'm working from home. How do I deal with dating working from home? Now I'm getting told to go back to work.
Now you're back.
Now you're back. This is, again, to go back to my millennial thing. Like, what the
Where
fuck?
are
We've
we?
lived 30 lives.
Yes.
Like, there was, if you go back to like dating in the 80s, there was like a 20-year run of just dating the same exact way.
Right. For us, like, remember when, it's like 4 different periods.
It's crazy. So, like, I understand the email. I get what they're talking about. Like, someone who dated when they were in their 20s and are now like maybe 50 and married and listen to this podcast, they're like, that's how we did it back in my day, kid. Like, it's weird that like everything just comes back around. Like, it's
we're old.
We're old. We also like no one has had to deal with this much change so quickly.
Right.
It's like, so I feel for this person, because they're like, all I know is working from home.
Right. Whereas if she always worked in an office 9 to 6 or whatever it was, she might, like, going on the date after work might just feel like something she's always done. She never had to think about it.
Right.
But now she has to go back and like, oh, I've gotten used to this relaxed, nice lifestyle.
The worst thing about flying private is having to go back to coach at some point.
Right. That's why you should never have nice things.
That's right. So the worst part about working from home is you might have to go back in.
Right.
And date.
But now you know, right? Now you know what it could be.
How good it could have been, how much time you were saving, the 30-minute commute both ways. Like, listen, I get it.
Right.
Why this is like daunting. Because you're like, I want to go on a date, but
it's tiring.
Exhausting.
Or you have to really want to go on. But in a way, I would almost use that to my benefit if I were her.
Mm-hmm.
You are not just saying yes to any date. You're being like super selective with the people that you're going out with. Because there's more, you have more going on. It's almost like how you suggest dating, like have a super full life, and that will make your standards higher.
Right. And it's also like, let's be open to like having a coffee midday at work. You work nearby, let's have a coffee.
Yeah.
Make it work for you. Like, you're looking, I don't know, a first date weekend dates, but the first date's a vibe check. Like, you want to be more, she says her big thing is, I wanted to make dating a priority. So like, let's like get into some more like, to me, let's get small wins, get some vibe checks. As a person who's gone on a lot of like first dates recently, it's a lot. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of, like being out and drinking. And like, I just hate that this like idea that like, just getting to, hey, I'm going for a walk.
Go on the date. Who cares?
Go on the date. Who cares? And also like, coffee date. What the fuck? What am I, a loser? It's like, how about this first interaction just to see if we're cool?
Low stakes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That she wants to make it a priority. I think that's like a good way to make it a priority. And also what you're saying is totally right. Like, maybe this makes your dates more.
Right.
Like,
you want to get a sense
whoever gets that Thursday night better be fucking great.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's a better, like, a way to look at it as an opportunity rather than not to discredit like how at the end of a long day, if you're working in an office building, you want to go home and take off your bra. I get it.
Yeah, that's all I think about. Here's another thing. I think happy hour.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. I think happy hour would be a
good way to
first
meet
date.
people. Right. Let's say you don't want formal dates that are a little bit more of a risk. You can like plan an after work fun drink with a friend where it's like the worst case scenario is you had a fun drink with a friend.
Right.
And the best case scenario is there's someone else at the bar that's fun to speak to.
Listen, she says, I think, I don't know how old she is, but like this was the way of the world. Like going out after, like the happy hour was like we kind of lost that.
Right.
Again, like pros and cons. Nothing's good, nothing's bad. So you got to go back into work. You have a 30-minute commute. That kind of sucks. But
you're out, you're dressed.
And you're in a area of the country where the whole group is being told to go back.
Right.
So there's going to be some hopping spots in DC.
Yeah.
Because of this. This is going to bring back a little bit of an in real life, as sad as this to say, President Trump might have done you the biggest favor in your life. I know it's hard to say, but if you say like, and again, I don't mean to be the get back to work guy, but like, again, it sucks to travel 30 minutes. It's also nice to be out in public and meet people in real life. And this kind of forces people out of their homes to do the happy hour. So I'm with you. Make drinks after work with a friend or with a date.
Yeah. And those are, again, I think the best part about those things are it's like low stakes. Like, again, the worst thing, like, it's like right after work. So you're not having to figure out how to stay out for until like 7:30 p.m. And then also, like, if you go out with a friend and that's how you're meeting people, you're enjoying your time with your friend.
I actually just now, us talking about happy hours made me excited for a happy hour.
Yeah.
Like,
you
it
going
kind of
happy hour today?
I'm not today. Woo-wee. I've been drinking too much. But it made me kind of remember those times.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Let's play some games.
Let's do it. All right.
UUP@betches.com. We are going to play Red Flag or Deal Breaker. We love a Red Flag Deal Breaker. Send them in to UUP@betches.com. And here's the game. If you're new here, you're on a date, it's perfect, then one thing happens. Is it a red flag? You see it and move on? Or is it a deal breaker? Is it over? You ready?
I'm ready.
Hi, hello, J&J. I woke up to a Hinge message that might just make me remove men from my dating app filters. Yet again, I'm bi. We had some good banter up to this point. I'm 30, he's 27, until the conversation took a turn for the worse. We could make dinner, smoke, watch a horror movie together. When are you free?
That actually sounds amazing. But maybe we start with meeting for coffee. Tomorrow starts my busier time of the week, and I'll probably be free Saturday afternoon, Friday afternoon, or Sunday. I like the way that she answered that.
She did a great job. Yeah, I'm happy you said that because he offered the Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
She's like, love everything you're talking about, but I only do that with people I really want to know.
Classy, upbeat way to say it.
Totally loved her message. Okay. So he writes, that could work too.
Rejected.
Yeah. That could work too. Like the not disappointed, but disappointed. That could work too. Do you like drinks though? I'm not a coffee drinker, LOL. It makes me anxious.
This to me, now that he's saying that, kind of also makes me think that he's like trying to get into a drinks place.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to make this sexual.
He's trying to make it casual.
Yes.
Yeah. Sexual, yes. Casual.
Right. More casual, for sure. Yeah, drinks are good too. Smiley. Like nerdy smiley face or something? Okay.
A little nerd emoji. Literally, this conversation could have ended.
Yeah,
you could just say, Saturday, see you for drinks.
There.
Instead, he goes in a different direction. Plus, coffee gives me diarrhea, and nobody wants that. Ha, 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 ha. Do you have a favorite place, or should we go someplace new?
No.
What a TMI.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean...
to me, it's like I would be out because I've said this before. Like you need some mystery.
Yeah.
In the beginning, that's sort of like the art of wooing someone is like a little bit of mystery.
It's just like, yeah, we could get coffee, but coffee makes me a little anxious and it gives me a little diarrhea. One time I made a poo-poo in my pants and it made me have to get rid of some
this
underwear.
Isn't your friend.
Do you have a place I could get a deal on underwear? It's like, when does he stop?
Yeah,
right?
There was no need for him to. It wasn't like she was like, I'd really like to get coffee.
To me, this is also part of the casual thing. Like this is sexual, weirdly. Him saying the diarrhea.
You're like, I've used this line.
I've used it. Well, I do think when you say something crazy like this, you're kind of trying to see what you can get away with.
I mean, he's been doing that the entire conversation.
So, like, this is actually tracking. Like, him saying, I get a little diarrhea when I have coffee, too. Ah, ha, 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 ha. It's like he's trying to get this conversation into the realm of weird. The realm of weird is where you get sexual. The realm of weird is where, like, you start to talk about, like, what you're into and what you like. And he's trying to do that from minute one.
Right. Yeah, he's telling you who he is very quickly, which is almost nice.
Right. This is a deal breaker if I'm looking for something serious.
Yes. If I'm looking to just hook up, fine.
If I'm looking to get someone a fucking diarrhea in my chest.
This is your guy.
This is the guy. He's saying something. I don't know. Let's do another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, JJ, long-time listener, first-time writer. I have been listening to you guys consistently for years and have seen Jared live multiple times in both Albany and New York City.
Thank you.
Multiple times.
Multiple.
I have a red flag or deal breaker for you. I'm 35, female, recently matched with an old friend on a dating app. 36 male. Someone from high school I hadn't seen in 10 to 15 years. We started talking and met up maybe a day or two after. We went for drinks and had a great time catching up and made plans to hang out a few days later. When I got home, he texted and said he had a great time and asked me to do him a favor and turn on my read receipts. I said I wasn't going to do that, and he seemed a bit bothered but moved on. So my question, was I overreacting? Would you turn on the read receipts? Love an unread batch.
I think this is such a bad. I think she's so right.
So weird.
It's weird. I think.
Can I track you?
Right.
That's basically saying.
It again, them knowing each other from way back when. I don't know what that has. That doesn't have to do with anything.
Well, it has. It almost to the extent where she's like, I thought I was like in a comfortable, normal position. Now I thought I knew something about this guy.
Well, it just shows you how insecure this guy is.
Right.
Like, I don't like when someone makes their insecurities my problem.
Right.
Like,
just handle your insecurities alone like a normal person.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up.
Yes.
You know, like basically they're asking you to like medicate them to get through the world. And it's like, you obviously need to go speak to a professional. You need to like get whatever you're dealing with like figured out before you can date. It's annoying to me because it's like, well, I can date, but I also have this like horrific insecurity I'm dealing with. That all I do is ask the person to like share the location and put read receipts on, and I'd
love to make this your problem.
Right. Yeah. And pet me before I go to bed. It's like, dude, maybe you can't operate in this world, and maybe you need some help to do that.
If you have to ask, you shouldn't have it.
Right. Because this is a guy who's like, just wants to make sure that he's, not stressing about the phone.
So if someone asked you to do that, even if they were fine when you said no, deal breaker?
Deal breaker. Yeah. Out. I think it's just
after the first date, especially. First date, yeah. Now if it was like it would have to be like for a specific reason, like we're in a relationship, there's something I need to update you on. You might be in a work meeting. Let me just can you put it on so I know if you've read it?
Right. But if it's not this, it's going to be something else.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like this person is thinking this like fix is going to make them feel more secure.
Right. And then
would you be out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be out. And then follow up is that he ended up being completely overbearing and texting / calling / asking to hang out multiple times prior to our scheduled date, even when I told him that was too much too fast. So for me, it was a deal breaker.
Well, I mean, that goes to the point of like his insecurities.
It goes with that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why hey, can you put on your read receipts so that I don't harass you to make myself feel better? Oh, yeah, sure.
No? Okay, I'll harass you.
Right. Right. All right, last
Seems
one.
like you chose option B.
I guess I'll become a total monster now. Yeah, like it's just, I don't know. This is this like thing of like I got problems, but also like fix them for me. It's like, oh, how about you have some personal responsibility?
Agreed.
Yeah. So J&J, huge fan of your podcast. Been listening in for the last year or so and have recommended it to all my friends. I've gone on a couple dates with this guy I met on Hinge, and despite not knowing him for long, it seemed to be going well. On paper, he seems to be my type, and so far we have had a good amount of things in common, except for one very unfortunate and essential thing. He doesn't seem to understand basic hygiene.
Let's find out.
Whoa. To set the scene, he and I had met up yesterday afternoon for a coffee and a dog walk date. And later we went to his place. We eventually made our way upstairs to his bedroom, and I sat down on his bed. I noticed he didn't have any pillowcases on his pillows. Only the removable covers that sometimes come with those Tempur-Pedic-type pillows.
What are the removable covers? Like the thing it comes in?
Yeah. Well, no. It's not like the packaging. It's like Tempur-Pedic, like, those like the memory foam.
Yeah.
They'll give you one to like go around it, but it's not like an actual cover.
Okay.
I asked him if he was doing laundry or something, but he said he doesn't use pillowcases because these ones came with them. Immediately, well, were you ever sent those pillows that are the box shape? And they're supposed to be like better for your neck?
No, I would love those though. Are they better for your neck?
I don't like them. Like it never feels comfortable to sleep on them. It feels like I'm just like on kind of like a plank.
Okay.
But I understand what they were trying to do. But those came with like covers, and I never found covers for those
because they're weirdly shaped.
Okay. Right? Like, but they had. So I have covers on my other pillows.
Right.
So the Tempur-Pedic.
But there is a cover. Could you wash that cover?
Yes.
You could wash it.
Yeah, I wash it.
Okay. If you could wash it, I don't see what the
so I don't
issue
know
is.
if it's similar to what's going on here.
Right. If what she's describing is what you're describing, and you can wash it, I'm not that offended by it.
But I guess if all the pillows have no pillowcases,
right,
it's like
that's a little weird.
Immediately thrown off by this and the fact that I, a 25-year-old woman, had to then explain to a 29-year-old man what a pillowcase is. He assured me that he removes these covers and washes them when he does his sheets. Okay. A little while later, I went to the bathroom and there was no hand soap of any kind. I checked the cabinet to see if he maybe just ran out, but I couldn't find any. I asked him where I could get some to wash my hands, and he told me to go downstairs to the kitchen where he keeps it. So naturally, I asked him about this odd soap system, and this man tried to tell me that whenever he is in the bathroom and washes his hands, he goes all the way downstairs to his kitchen to use the one there.
Sure, Jen.
This guy has never washed his hands ever.
That is such a
Yeah.
That's insulting to this woman's intelligence.
I mean, he's embarrassed. I think he's probably embarrassed, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I go down the stairs.
This is my method.
And,
I get steps.
I get them wet up here, and then I go down the stairs. I use the soap, and then I come back up here. I get them wet again, and
this guy's. That's when I would know this guy wasn't washing the pillowcases.
Well, that's the bigger.
He's lying
thing.
about this. He's definitely lying about that.
And let me just say,
because that's way less disgusting than the hand washing thing.
Let me make him feel a little bit more approachable. I'm not a big hand washer either.
Even after a number 2?
If I didn't touch anything, we good.
I told you to wipe?
Yeah, I'm just saying it ain't happening every time.
Good to know.
Sorry. Jordana just gasped. I'm just saying, I'm trying to help this guy out. I'm not going to sit here and hammer him as if I'm like this hand washing.
Hand washing. Do you have soap in your bathroom?
I do have soap in my bathroom, but I
for guests.
I get sent a lot of things. I'm just saying, I don't want to hammer this dude too much.
You need a woman's touch so badly.
I'm just saying, I'm not as far away from him as I'd like to be.
Okay.
Is my point, and I am not here to be a good guy. I'm here to be an honest guy.
Okay.
Safe to say, I had a pretty horrible night of sleep as I was lying flat on his bed with no pillow because I refused to put my head on these pillows.
I think thinking about how you said I don't touch anything when I never did.
Well, yeah, I don't touch anything. I wipe with my elbow. Okay. In the morning, to my absolute horror, I saw the pillows in the light of the day, and they were brown. Safe to say, he's not diligent about his pillow cover washing routine. After recalling the night with my friends, they asked me if he came to me and said he got soap and improved the pillow situation if I would give him another chance. But I do feel these things are quite literally the bare minimum when it comes to basic cleanliness. What do you guys think? Red flag or deal breaker? Sincerely, a disgusted bitch.
I think if this guy were 25 or under, it would just be a red flag, and we could work on it. I do think the fact that he's almost 30 it would be to me, it would be a sign of almost immaturity, I think.
Sure. You're not really looking for
He's definitely not had a girlfriend in a very long time. I mean,
here's the pillow thing is like a memeable thing. Like we've seen, this is something said about men.
Right. The pillow color
that happens.
If any of these issues in isolation,
right,
we could maybe get over. The soap thing's a little gross. I think in any of the ones in isolation I could work on, but all 3 would be a signal to me that this person is not as mature as I would like them to be, probably at that age.
Right. It's okay to be turned off by this. I get that. Can he change, and would he be willing to change?
Probably would.
I think he would. I think a lot of this stuff is again, I'm gonna.
It's a question if she wants to be the one to have to do that,
right? And I think I don't know. It's hard for me to sit here and be like, what a loser, because I'm like, listen, I'm living in a scenario where
having a woman over. If you had
I once invited a girl over, and I'll never forget it. She walked in, looked at my place, was like, I gotta go, left immediately, immediate leave. And I'll never forget it because I had it was just a mess.
It was a mess?
It was a mess. And she was right.
It's like that episode of Friends with there's a rat on the floor.
Right.
It was dirty woman.
So bad. Yeah. And she was right. I'm not saying
making out on wrong. Garbage.
So
that's what I'm saying. That maybe weren't ready for a serious.
Yeah. I mean, this happened a decade ago. I think she's got 4 kids now.
Right.
She was ready for a different thing than me.
That's what I'm saying.
So can he change? Of course.
Of course. Yeah. And again, any one of these things, Mike and I had a discussion about the toilet seat being left up the other day. We had to sit down.
This is, your husband.
I was like, are you regressing? What's going on? I've been entering the rooms. Things are up.
What's happening
what's
around
going
here?
on? I felt like I was in HR. I was like,
What's been happening?
I was like,
lately
Mike,
at this
what's
company?
going on? Is everything okay at
Yeah.
home? Is everything okay at home? I've been noticing that the toilet seats are up.
Sorry. There's menstrual cups everywhere.
I mean, I've gotten to talking to too about my hairbrush. So
Right.
I get it.
It goes all
Yeah,
ways,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not like any one of these things. People are redeemable. I think all three. I would be a little. This guy might not be ready for a serious relationship.
Right. It's like it's a deal breaker if you want something real. Mm-hmm. Because I think there's such a thing as like being in different like eras.
Yeah, and I think the male and female time limit where this is socially acceptable is different. I think when a woman hits like 25, 26, she's like, I'm not doing the like only one fork guy anymore.
Right.
I'm a real woman now.
Right.
I can rent a
Two
car.
forks.
Yeah.
A fork in every hand. Yeah.
And for men, maybe that age is a little later.
It's just
Like
not something I feel judged on.
What if would you judge a woman for this?
Yes.
Okay. She has no hand soap.
Again, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Right. You need a clean woman.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I need a pita.
You do. All right.
So-
Well, that's it for us. We'll be back next week.
Well, no, we'll be back with our Valentine's
We'll
Day
be back
episode.
with our Valentine's Day episode. Sorry.
Make sure to subscribe to YouTube because we have a very special thing going on in the studio.
Yeah, might be getting a visit from someone special.
Maybe Mr. Cupid.
Ooh,
There it is. Back on Friday. Boom.
Bye. Kate McAuliffe is our senior producer. Our editor is Emily Freed. Candace Maniga is our senior social producer. Our associate producer is Will Maxwell. Additional production help from Shannon Jimenez Sasson. Be sure to follow us at u.up.podcast and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.